Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bryndís, and today I have, yes, another book haul. Most of these books are thrifted, they're used books. My the big charity shop that is close to me where I live, they did something with their book section a few months ago, and now it is just so good. It used to be more or less impossible to find classics, like for not non-Icelandic books, specifically classics in English, but now they're like everywhere. So every time I go into that charity shop, there are just so many good books, and I just keep buying them because yeah, never mind. So these are the books that I bought in July, after mid-July and in August. So there are definitely a few trips to the charity shop. I'm gonna start with a couple of books that I bought new, and I'm gonna start with my birthday present from myself to myself, and you can see it here. If you follow my channel, know that I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. And so I bought, so this is The Mousetrap. This is her really famous play that has been, I think, the longest continuously running play at the West End in London. 70th, so more than 70 years. And this is her, the play, basically. I have not read this. I'm not going to read it. My plan for next year, is because I'm turning 50 next year, and I'm gonna hopefully go to London and celebrate my birthday in London watching this play live. So that's my plan. So this is kind of just a little bit of a warm-up for me for my 49th birthday. So yeah, it's very nice, very beautiful. I did not know this existed. I saw this on Alice and the Giant Bookshelves channel, and she was one of the first booktubers that I started watching, and she was a huge Agatha Christie fan as well. And I remember seeing this on her shelf in one of the first videos that I saw, and I was just like, and knew that I needed to have it. So I'm very happy to have it here. But yeah, it's very nice. It's just I'm not gonna read this play because I want the play to be a surprise when I actually go and see it. So I'm staying away from all the spoilers, but it's resting here in like pride of place. I have a few other new books. I've actually shown one of them, I think, already, and that is Longbourn by Jo Baker. I ordered this. I couldn't find it anywhere here in Iceland, so I ended up ordering it on Amazon. But I read it in July, and it's okay. It's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice from the point of view of the servants of the Bennet house. And it's okay. It's not excellent, but it was an interesting read. And then I got a few other books. Let me see. I took the wrong book here. I think in June, May or June, I read The Pillow Book by Shay Shonigan. This was a read-along with Classics and Company. And I just, I enjoyed it. It was definitely very long, but I wanted to own a copy of it. So I did that. Yeah. And then I was reading Lucy Worsley's biography of Jane Austen in July, and then I saw that she also wrote Agatha Christie's biography, and I was just like, I loved her Jane Austen book, so I'm hoping that I will also love this one. And I have no immediate plan of reading it, but maybe for, is it like People April or something? Maybe I'll read it then, but yeah, I'm very happy to have it. And this is also a book that I could not find anywhere here in Iceland. And then the last kind of new book that I bought, or new books, was the last 4 books in the Mistborn series. I think these would be called the is it Era 2 or something like that? I don't remember. But yeah, so I read the first trilogy in July and absolutely loved it. And so I knew I wanted to read the rest of it. And this was actually cheaper for me to order it from the devil, aka Amazon, than buying it here in the store here. So I ended up ordering it since I was already buying other stuff. And I also got the Secret History, the novella that is kind of the last book in this series. So I have lots of Brandon Sanderson to read in the next couple of months, and I can't wait. But now let's go to the thrifted books. So I'm gonna start with there were a couple of Icelandic books. I actually found a lot of Icelandic books that I'm collecting. I'm collecting a few authors that write crime, kind of in the Nordic noir tradition, but I'm not, those are, maybe at some point I'll do a video talking about my favorite crime authors, Icelandic crime authors, but yeah, they're already in the shelf. Yes, Emma, I know, there are a lot of books here. But anyway, so I'm not gonna show you those, but I did buy a couple of other Icelandic books that I want to show you. First of them is one of the books by Halldór Laxness. This one is called Heimsljós. It was published in 1937 to 1938. I will put picture here in the English translation. And this is, I think, one of his masterpieces. Masterful piece of work. I've been reading Halldór Laxness, as you may know, and I've been reading them, like the books from my parents' collection, because they have almost all of his books, but they didn't actually have this one. Hey, Mario. So I decided to go ahead and just buy it for myself, because I actually think I want to eventually own all of his books, or at least the books that I've read. So I'm gonna read this. It's a little bit chunky, but I am planning on reading this year. It's going to be one of the last books by him that I read. I also found an Icelandic saga. It's called Grettis Saga. One of the Icelandic sagas. I have a couple of other books, but I really thought it would be fun to get this one because it was actually published by Halldór Laxness. So, because I really want to read some of the Icelandic sagas soon. Oh, everything is falling on the floor here. And then I saw this book. I had to show you. So this it said school poems. And these are basically, this is the book that every child in Iceland reads, or had, at least I think so. Maybe it's still going, but at least when I was a child, everybody had to read these poems. And these are just like a collection of poems from all the great Icelandic poets throughout the centuries. I think there are like 95% men. There are very few women here, but it's fun to have. And I used to have a copy like this, but I'm kind of wanting to get back into poetry. I'm watching like Pat from Book Chat with Pat, with her poetry all the time, and I'm thinking like, I love poetry. I just never get to reading it. I don't know why. So I'm thinking that maybe if I have something easier to read, I can then read that. And I think I also have another poetry collection here that I bought. Anyway, so those were kind of the Icelandic books, apart from the crime books that I didn't show. Okay, let's start with the classics. It may be kind of a combination of classics and modern classics, but the first thing that I found was a collection of Sherlock Holmes's the complete novels and stories, volume 1 and volume 2. I actually have, I don't know, no, you can't see it, it's up there. I have some of his stories, and I have The Hound of Baskerville and some of these, but they were not all of them. So when I saw this, I was just like, oh my God, that's perfect. I'm not a fan of some of the editions that I have, but I really want to read Sherlock Holmes at some point, because I know that Agatha Christie was highly influenced by these books, and I thought that it would be fun to read again. I have read the entire collection of Sherlock Holmes or by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle a few years ago, but I would love to read them again. So now I have everything, I hope, that he has written with Sherlock Holmes in it. So, and these are just beautiful, like they are like almost, they feel brand new. So I'm very excited about that. Another book that I found was something by Albert Camus, Exile and the Kingdom. Albert Camus. So Camus won the Nobel Prize. And I do have a kind of a very long-term project of trying to read as many of the Nobel Prize laureates as I can possibly find. So when I saw this, I was just like, I would have loved to actually have him translated into Icelandic, but this one is translated into English, which is fine. And then I saw this book. I read this book in college when I was studying my degree in English language and literature. And I remember that it had a lot of impact on me. So, I mean, this is not the most beautiful edition. I think this is definitely for students, like as numbers and stuff like that. But I think I want to read it again at some point. Yeah. So I have that. I don't really know anything about it. I'm not gonna tell you about all the books, because the video would be so long. But it's a modern classic, and yeah, that's all I know. I also have another book that I can't believe I found. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I've never read Moby Dick. I want to read it for sure, but it's chunky. So I don't have any immediate plans, and I have a feeling that I would probably read it as an audiobook. But it sounds very interesting, and I've wanted to read this book for a very long time. I found The Pygmalion by Bernard Shaw, which is very exciting. This is, My Fair Lady. And this is basically, it kind of reads like a play. Is it a play maybe? I have no idea. But yeah, I thought it was a kind of a nice cover, and definitely something that I would like to read. I found a book by Henry James. I actually own The Turn of the Screw, but I don't love my edition of it. I think it's not very nice. So I figured, this one is much nicer. And I get another one, The Ashburn Papers. So I look forward to reading that. Yeah. I have a couple of other books as well by Henry James. I kind of like his writing, so I'm very excited about that. And I actually really love these editions. This Penguin, the old one with the yellow. It's very cute. Very lovely. I also found Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. I also like these editions of Penguin. So that's cool. I'm kind of collecting Dickens. I have a lot of, I don't know, no, you can see that. Yeah, anyway. I have a lot of books by him. I haven't really read a lot of it. I've read a couple. I think two or three books by him I've read, but I want to read more, definitely. And the only problem with this edition is that the print is like tiny. So I have a feeling that this may be an audiobook, but I really like this edition. I then found also, so this one actually I found in a little free library. I have absolutely no idea. It is, I think, is it 18th century rather than 19th century? I'm not 100%. Yes, it was published in 1760, in the 1760s, basically, in like a, series type of a thing. I have never heard of this. I've never heard of this author, Lawrence Stern. So I have no idea. I just saw it and I was like, oh, okay, let's just grab it because it said Wordsworth Classics. So I will give it a go, and if I don't like it, I will just give it back to the little free library. And then actually I saw this one, Frankenstein. And so this is the original 1818 text, because apparently the most famous edition has been changed or whatever. I've read that one twice actually. So at some point, I think I'm going to want to read this one and maybe compare them. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this edition. It's not very classic-y. It definitely feels more school booky, but that's fine. I love Frankenstein, so I'm excited about that. Another book that I found is actually in Icelandic. It is 1001 Night, but it's the second volume. So I didn't find this first volume, but I've been watching Nicole at, I can't remember her channel name, but she was reading 1001 Night. I think like one story a day or something like that. So I thought that would be fun. Maybe at some point to get to that. Or, I have no immediate plan of finishing this huge thing, but I need to get volume 1 as well. But I'm very happy to have it, because obviously these are very famous books. Another book that I found also was The Complete Poems of John Keats. I really enjoy Keats. I mean, he's not my favorite kind of English poet, but I remember reading, I think he's English. Oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe he's American. English-speaking poet, and I remember reading him in my English degree, and I enjoyed him for sure, but even though he wasn't my favorite. But like I said, I would really like to try and get, I'm starting to have a lovely poetry collection, and I think that maybe I will put together a little bit of a project of reading poetry. But yeah, so now I have Keats. I also found the Penguin Book of American Short Stories, which I think is really interesting and fun. I think I've actually read a few of these, but there are stories by Irving, Hawthorne, Poe, Melville, Twain, James, Fitzgerald, Faulkner, Hemingway, Malamud, Updike, and Capote. So I have no idea. Maybe I have some of these short stories in other books, but I'm excited about that. Yes, so those were my classics, apart from, I don't know if is he modern classic? Graham Greene. He was actually, he did not win the Nobel Prize, I think, but I think he was shortlisted a few times. But now I have two books by him. So that's The Confidential Agent. And I like Graham Greene because he doesn't write, his books are short, and he also wrote short stories. So this is the Third Man and The Fallen Idol. The Third Man, I think, is a very famous book. So I'm excited to read Graham Greene. And then I also have Doris Lessing. Don't exactly know when this book was published. This would be considered, 72. So I guess it would be considered a modern classic. Doris Lessing, she did win the Nobel Prize. Her most brilliant and imaginative novel, Briefing for a Descent into Hell. This will be an adventure for sure, but I look forward to reading this at some point. One book that I also found, which made me so excited, was an Agatha Christie. Yay! So this is actually, it says, it's the American title, What Mrs. McGillicuddy Saw. I love that name. It's actually 450 from Paddington, the original title. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, as you can see, I'm collecting. And this was one that I did not have. So of course I had to get that one. And then I'm very excited because I found also 2 Stephen Kings. The most excited find was this one. The Gunslinger first book, in the Dark Tower series. Because this was published in his first decade. So I'm kind of reading Stephen King by publication. And so I'm starting with the first decade, which is 1974 to 1983. This was published in 1982. And I did not own it. So I'm very excited about owning it so that I can, I think I have like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more books to go, and then I will be done with a decade. So that's exciting. And again, it's like brand new. It's like, it feels completely very little used. Can you say that? And then also what I found. Oh my God. It. Thankfully, I don't have to read this book for a little while because it was published, 86. Oh no, so this is the next decade. I think I saw the movie at like the original movie at some point, and it's horrifying. So it will be very interesting to read the book. But I can read horror now. I read The Shining and I can do it. So, but like Mr. King, why do you need to write such big books? Why? But I'm so excited. I mean, this is a little bit battered for sure. This doesn't look so good, but I'm so excited that I got it for like €2. Okay, so let's Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. I really want to read the Vampire Chronicles series. So there are 3 books: Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire Lestat. Do I own any other book? No. And then The Queen of the Damned. And yeah, I would really. I mean, this was one of my favorite movies when I was younger, and probably still is. I haven't watched it in a very long time, but oh my God, it was so good. And Queen of the Damned is also a really good movie. I don't think I've seen The Vampire Lestat. I think that's been made into a movie, but I haven't seen it. But anyway, I would love to read the trilogy. So when I saw this one, I got it. And although I'm not a huge fan of this edition, I can always then, if I read it and I enjoy it, I can then buy the trilogy in like a nicer paperback. Okay, so the last pile here, let's do it. Let's do it, people. So I did get a couple of non-fiction, which I'm very excited about. So one of them is Plato's The Last Days of Socrates in Icelandic translation. I really love these. So these are editions here from I have no idea, the Icelandic Literary Association, something like that. But it's just a lovely edition, and it's Plato talking about the last days of Socrates. So that's nice for my little philosophy collection. And then I also found this one. I've read this book as an audiobook a few years ago. I think I've read everything by Alison Weir in regards to her biographies and historical books. She's an historian, excellent author as well. And Eleanor of Aquitaine is one of my favorite female historical figures. She was badass. I really, really like her. And I like Alison Weir's take on her life. So I'm excited to have this as my kind of audiobook trophy. Another historical book that I found that I've also read is The Red Queen by Philippa Gregory. I've read, I think, also everything by Philippa Gregory. She has several books where she takes these historical women, queens of England or Scotland or France or whatever, and creates these historical romance around their lives. So she kind of takes bits from real history and creates these lovely books about them. And I've read all of her books. I don't like all of them. Sometimes the romance is just too cringy for my taste, as I'm not really a romance reader. But this one I really enjoyed. And this is about Margaret Beaufort, who was the mother of Henry VII, and her marriage and subsequent motherhood at 12 or something to Owen Tudor. Yeah. And kind of, she was a badass woman as well, definitely the woman behind Henry VII for a little while at least. Anyway, love this book, and I'm very happy as well to have this as my little audiobook trophy. Okay, so here I have other books. I found, this is by a Finnish author called Arto Paasilinna. Sorry. And it's called A Glorious Suicide. I don't know. Hurmaava Koitsemura in Finnish. I think that this is, he is one of the most famous Finnish authors, or at least he was. So I'm really excited to read some Finnish literature, and I'm happy that I found it translated into Icelandic. And it's looks like not that long. I was very happy. I have not read The Kite Runner, and it's been on my list for a while. But when I saw that this book by the same author, I jumped at it. And it's a little bit battered, a little bit torn and stuff like that. But I think this is gonna be a very interesting read. And, by Khaled Hosseini. And I think, I'm trying also to be a little bit more varied in my reading and not only read kind of Western Europe or American literature. So this is gonna be, I'm really looking forward to it. I have no idea what it's about, something in Afghanistan. So it's gonna be interesting. And then I found this book. So this is Bear Town, the Icelandic translation of Bear Town by Fredrik Backman, or Björnstad, I think it's in Norwegian. I have to admit that, so I read A Man Called Uwe in August, that I will talk about next week's video, if I can, because that book destroyed me emotionally, and just thinking about it makes me almost want to cry. I'm a little bit afraid of you, Mr. Backman. I hope this is not gonna be as devastating as A Man Called Uwe, and I've heard about other books by him. So, but I would love to read this actually in September, because I think or October is it? It's one of the books that, the zoomies, is one of the books for Ellen Made Book Club picks. So we'll see if I get to it or not. But Fredrik Backman is, after reading one of his books, he's becoming my favorite author. Emma, you don't have to scream. You can just talk. Use your inside voice and talk to me. Já. Hvað?
Hi.
Yeah. Why are you crying? You want to say hi? So annoying. Anyway, I found this book. This book I've seen everywhere around BookTube, and I've read. No, I haven't read. I've read one like these shorter Japanese books, and I loved that one. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely hearing mixed reviews from people, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna enjoy this. So this kind of magical mystery, magical realism, is that the word? Yeah. Of someone who, like, you're drinking coffee at the coffee shop, and then you kind of are transported, like go through a time machine, and then you have to be back before the coffee gets cold. Something like that. So, but again, I can't believe that some of these are just like new, and that I like paid like €2 for them. Like, what is this? I found Joe Nesbø, The Snowman, and I'm so happy I found it because I found it in Norwegian, so I can read it in Norwegian. Oh, I love that, and I've read a few of his books, and I love it. They take place mostly in Oslo, and I used to live in Oslo, my beloved Oslo. So I'm very excited that I found it in Norwegian. Yeah, I love that. Also, some of the like Norwegian thing here is like Joe Nesbø jumps the 90-meter hill, like this like ski jumping references to telling us how good the book is. That's very Norwegian. I love that. But yeah, so anyway, and then I found this book that I have never heard about, even though it's a New York Times bestseller, which like every book seems to be. It's called The Alchemist, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. I'm sure if you've read a certain series, was it in the first book of a certain series by a certain author, you will know the name Nicholas Flamel. So I was like, oh, what is that? And so this is the legend Nicholas Flamel lives. And yeah, so he was born in Paris on September 28th, 1330. And nearly 700 years later, he acknowledged as the greatest alchemist of his day. The records show that he died in 1418, but his tomb is empty. Ooh. So there's like Sophie and Josh Newman are about to find themselves in the middle of the greatest legend of all time. Dr. John Dee. Yeah, anyway. I don't know, is it like dark academia or light academia or something? I have no idea. I've never heard of this book. The cover and the name of Nicholas Flamel just screamed at me to buy it. I found a short story collection by Claire Keegan. Couldn't remember her name. Collection. I think it's only one short story. The Forester's Daughter. I have no idea. And this is actually funny. So this is Umberto Eco's Name of the Rose. I own it here in this edition in English translation, but I hate this edition. It's the film cover. I don't like that, and it's just not favorite. And I figured when I saw this edition, which is much nicer, and so I decided to go ahead and get it, and I can then read it in Icelandic, which is, oh my god, look at that print is tiny. But yeah, so this one is probably gonna go either to a free library or back to the, like, I'll donate it to the thrift store again. But yeah, so, oh yeah, I don't need to put it there. So that was a kind of a, yeah. Then I found a book by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, The Shadow of the Wind, I think it's called. Yeah, so this is he's a Spanish author. I don't know if you know, he's quite famous, at least here in Iceland, so I'm thinking that he's also famous internationally. Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I think this takes place in around the Second World War or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it's very exciting. And this was published in 2001. But again, very like very little used. Is that the word? And then I found Perfume by Patrick Süskind. This Perfume, the story of a murderer. I saw someone hauling this book here on BookTube the other day, or it was on their TBR. I remember, I don't think actually I saw the movie, but I know that it was very good, or I've heard that it was very good. But yeah, so kind of a nice cover, a little bit different color scheme for sure. And then the last book is Flights by Olga Tokarczuk. Olga Tokarczuk. She won the Nobel Prize in 2019. She's Polish. And I think this book won the International Booker Prize, if I'm correct. Yes, 2018 International Booker Prize in Jennifer Croft's translation. And in 2019, she won the Nobel Prize in Literature. So very excited about reading this. And I'm also very excited about reading this because, so it's something about the 17th century, and then there's like in the 19th century, we follow Chopin's heart as it makes the covert journey from Paris to Warsaw. I've been to Warsaw in Poland, and I've seen the crypt and touched the crypt of Chopin's heart. If you don't know, Frédéric Chopin was a Polish-French composer, romantic composer. My favorite. I'm classically trained pianist. I don't know if that's. I learned to play the piano. Classically learned to play the piano for like 15 years. So Chopin was my favorite composer. Oh my God. So the fact that he's in this book, or his heart at least, is very interesting. So I look forward to reading this book at some point. I am making my way, as I said, making my way through the Nobel Prize winners. I don't know if I'm going to do it decade by decade. Maybe I was thinking about reading the women first, or women and people of color first, and then all the white men. But I've already read a lot of the white men, so I don't know. Maybe I will just do it haphazardly and have no plan. But definitely this book is going to be read at some point in my life. So that's my book haul. There are 47 books, if I counted correctly. But they were like, most of them were just €2. So some of them were even free. So like, that's that. It's not about the money, it's about the pleasure I have from looking at my bookshelves. Although now I think I need to make some sort of a plan as to how to tackle my unread physical books. I've rearranged my shelves a little bit, so I have now at the moment I have like 2.5 shelves that are my physical TBR. I have a lot of books that I need to add to my physical TBR. Some of these I had read, like I said. But I think that I need to I will talk about that I think in next week's video when I will do my September TBR pile of possibilities. And I need to think about making some sort of a plan as to how I am actually going to not have 50,000 unread books on my shelves. So that's that. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if there are any of them that sound super interesting to you. Let's have a chat in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.